Weston McKennie and Tim Weah both started for Juve. Both of them got a goal, and Tim Weah actually had the assist to Weston McKennie's header. It ended 2-2, so no real cherry on top in terms of the results. And right now, Juve went from not giving up any goals to bleeding a whole bunch. They've given up 7 in their last 3 in all comps. But very awesome to see McKennie played in more of an advanced midfield role. And then you got Tim Weah, who actually hit the cross from the right side, even though he started on the left. When he scored his goal, he found himself in the middle. A lot of freedom for Tim Weah right now to run wherever he needs to run to make sure he can be dangerous. But, dude, 2 Americans scoring for Juve. What kind of universe are we living in? That is awesome. That is awesome. That's so awesome.
I'm trying to think. Someone will probably remind us. Have you seen Timothy Weah with a better cross than that? I mean, he lined it up. He saw the target, and there probably was, but I mean, one just doesn't jump off the charts for me. And a good finish by Weston. Keep in mind that's 2 games in a row for Timothy Weah with goals, right? And Parma's a side. I was telling some friends, like, if you don't have a side in Italy, go watch Parma. They just got promoted. We get to see them on Paramount every week. They're a counterattacking team. So it's not an easy task when you play them because they commit so many numbers forward. So guys like Weston, especially in the middle of the field, have this responsibility to break things up. And I mean, Weston, I feel like we talk about him every week now, and rightly so. What else can you say about what he's done at that club right now, and how he's doing it? And it's so nice to see Weah come off of what probably was really, really heartbreaking for him, where he didn't know what the club thought about him or what they want to do. Motta says at the beginning of the year, yeah, you're one of my starters, and then match day 1, you go and get hurt, right? Just before you score a goal coming out at the half, and now you're back in. Because if you really think about it, Jim, some managers, like, they don't make changes when you're winning, right? No matter what, whether you're injured. Some people have this theory: if you're injured and you come back, you go right back into the lineup. Some managers say, no, it's just a matter of what my team is doing then. There was a real chance that Timothy Weah would have had to sort of wait his turn, right, if you will, for lack of a better term. Just sit around and wait until something happens. But he clearly believes in him, and clearly wants to see him on the field and giving him opportunities. So that's really that's really good to see.
Yeah, I think what's cool too, and we're getting some great comments from everybody here on the YouTubes, but I love that he's getting some that trust and belief from Motta, incredibly important. But also there seems to be this freedom to especially when the ball gets out wide right. Like or I don't even know if it's a freedom, but more of a demand. Like, we need you to get into the middle of the box, because that's the second game in a row that he's got an assist at the near post from Conceição, who's doing some nice work beating players off the dribble, and then he puts himself in a good spot to make it happen. That's really promising. That there's, instead of more often than not, wingbacks just like to stay out wide in the channels, but there seems to be a real emphasis on getting him more centrally located when the ball's out wide to the right. And yeah, it's a good time. I'm all in. This is I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Tim Weah. The thing is, he's playing on the left at the moment, cutting in on his right, and that's where Christian Pulisic likes to set up. Now, obviously, he's played many minutes for us and scored against Wales in the World Cup, playing on the right and cutting in. So he's not going to have any problem with that, but I'm curious how Mauricio Pochettino elects to use him, especially if you've got ideas of putting Yunus Musa as our wing back currently, and where does Weah pinch? But he could pinch in. He could maybe play kind of that 10 that Brendan Aronson was playing. He put Brendan Aronson off the bench. Lots to talk about. We'll get into our locks here after the break. But I do want to say that Tim Weah, now with that goal, is tied for 3rd among Americans in scoring in Serie A history. You got Christian Pulisic on top. He's got 17 goals in 44 appearances. Weston McKennie's got 10 goals in 110 games for Juve. I can't believe he's played that many. That's pretty awesome. You have Michael Bradley, who had 3 goals as well for Chievo and Roma. And then you have Timothy Weah with 3 in 36 games for Juventus. Alexi Lawless got 2. Give a shout out to Lex there. Busio's also got 2 goals. So that's your top 6, all things considered. And then this is a fun fact. Shout out to Ivis in our private chat. McKennie is 6th among all Serie A players in assists in all competitions since the start of the 2023-24 season. 12.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive. And there's clearly a demand from him, or at least from Motta, to get him more linked up and trying to get higher up the field. And he's dangerous. I love his late runs. He's so good at that trailing run that I really appreciate.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead.
he has this real commitment to get in the box, and he always has, right? Even at Schalke, if you remember, there was that preseason in Schalke where McKennie played during that preseason as a center back, and he also played as a number 9 in the team, right? Like, but he loves getting in the box. He has an energy, and when you're smart and you can come late in the box, as a defender, right? Like, you're constantly your entire career, I'm sure you screamed at midfielders to track players back, because as a center back, you're generally marking somebody, right? Like, you have a responsibility and you're just looking ahead, and when midfielders get beat in the midfield, there's like no recovering for them. And if you're smart enough, and he does a really good job of that, to find space late, but it's been part of his game his entire career, and I can't imagine that will ever change. So yeah, it's good to see him, get a goal, and good to see those two guys link up.
Yeah, they clearly have a great relationship as well. That rapport is very evident. All right, let's move over to another club with a couple Americans on it in Italy. That is AC Milan. They lost 2-0 at home at the San Siro to Napoli. And Yunus Musah started, played all 90 minutes. I have a couple notes on him. Christian Pulisic didn't start, had flu-like symptoms before the game, ended up coming off the bench, maybe played the last 20, 30 minutes, and had a couple of shots, put himself in some good areas. But there seems to be the more Rafael Leao issue, not starting him. He comes on, and they got to solve that. Paulo Fonseca's got to solve that. But Yunus Musah, let's get back to him. 90 minutes, 50 touches, 2 shots, 4 recoveries overall. Some good moments there. He put himself in a good spot. Big tones where good pressuring from Milan overall. It's in the first half. I still believe it was 1-0 Napoli at that point. And when he goes to step in front of the Napoli holding midfielder, whoever it was, his touch just gets away from him. If that first touch is clean, the second touch is a shot. And I'm not going to say a goal 100%, but it would have been a really, really good opportunity. Instead, that first touch got away from him. The goalkeeper comes out and smothers it, and then that chance was dead. And that kind of summed it up for me, because there was another play that happened in the second half, or maybe it was the first half, where a ball got cleared up and he had dropped back in, or it was like a cross. It goes way up in the field, like high, and he just was really casual by the end line to try to bring it down. And then Napoli just came and stole it from him, and they kept the play going, kept it alive, and got a good shot on goal. These are just these little moments, these details that it's clear Yunus is supremely talented. But these little details, if he's not going to clean these up, if he continues to be casual in these little moments, I don't think he's going to ever take that next step, because you got to be consistently good in all these little things,
Yeah, especially in the midfield. But I think, first off, I thought in general his game was good. There were some really positive things. But I think some of the things you're talking about, you might be talking about the Gilmore right in the middle of the field. By the way, Gilmore and McTominay in the midfield for an Italian team is just running things right now. He had that play with McTominay where he kind of megged him and he gets around him and then he cut him again, and which I guess ran its route on social media for a little while. But I think some of the things you're mentioning, like when you're sharp and when you're playing every week, maybe those things don't happen because you're up to speed with the game. So we can only hope that he gets more minutes. I wonder how Fonseca looks at it. I still don't think Fonseca knows who his best team is, but I think he knows that Christian Pulisic needs to be on the field. And it was interesting because prior to the game, everything you read said Christian Pulisic was not part of it. And then after the game, Fonseca said something to the effect like, we were waiting, like he was almost waiting by minutes to see if Christian would get healthier as the day went on, and he ends up putting him on the bench, but he didn't know if he was gonna use him. So they may have been just monitoring the entire game, just good enough to get him on the field in a moment like that. Because Jimmy, at this time of year, more often than not, when you're sick like that, a manager just says you're off, right? Because we don't want to burn you. We don't want to let the wick get down too deep and just keep burning it. But he knows he needs him on the field right now, and he made a difference when he came on.
He did.
It just probably anyone can relate to it, right? You just got low energy, like you're not really where you want to be for the day. But expectation is that he plays this weekend. They got Monza, which is not a great side. There's speculation. I don't think Fonseca goes anywhere. I also don't think Milan loses on the weekend, but they are away to Monza. So it's always tricky to go away from home, but the expectation is that Pulisic is going to be in the 90. The storyline could be if Musa is in the playing 90 minutes or in the starting lineup.
Yeah, so a couple things, and I'm glad you reminded me of Musa's chance. He had it would have been an incredible goal where he cuts in, 2 defenders coming towards him, gets it back to his right foot, top of the box, and curls it to the back. I mean, he misses the post by, we're talking an inch or two. If that goes in, we're talking about Yunus Musa as like the golden child. He's on it. He's ready to go. He's going to take off. And also, I want to just throw out there that he was probably playing. This is according to a lot of my Milan friends, and you could either confirm or deny this. Is one of my other Milan friends that loved the club. That was one of the worst back fours that he could have played in front of, in terms of what Milan started. It just was not a very good team that he was surrounded by.
Don't start me, Jimmy.
Okay. So I'm just saying, like, when we think about Yunus and if you're just watching him and you're trying to compare it, I mean, I do think that part of it needs to be brought into the equation. If he's not playing with all the best players that Milan have available, and you're putting like a stopgap starting at 11, and Musa's just trying to make it all work, maybe trying to do too much, or not really knowing where he should be based on the personality or player profile of everybody else, sometimes that can work.
But you know how it goes, right? Like, if you're not a starter, oftentimes that's the position you're in, right? Like, that's you don't always get the chance to go. It's a cup game, right? When a manager plays, different players in those, like, you don't always get like what's perfectly suited for you. You got to kind of work your way into that. And I think Musa's probably in that position, and that's unfortunate, right? Because I think we all feel like, and we've been saying for a while, we all have this idea that Musa's got like not one more gear, but maybe 2 or 3 more gears in his game and his career. But that's only going to come out if you're playing, right? So hopefully, like I said, hopefully this leads to something good. I don't think that there's a negative coming out of this game with regards to Fonseca thinking about who Yunus Musa is as a player.
That's fair. That's a great shout.